Hey, soul survivors, we're going to talk about something extremely interesting today. We're going to talk about the social emotional skills of your narcissist. Also, it can help you reflect on some of the things that might be going on with you. We see the narcissist as a human adult, and sometimes they can be extremely intelligent. So it gets really confusing how they act and why they act the way that they do. And it's due to their social emotional skills, and they get stuck due to their childhood trauma and inability to process things. So if you're trying to figure out who you're dealing with, I really want you to listen to this. We're going to go through the different stages, the different milestones, and maybe pause the video if you would like, get some pens and paper, and maybe make some check marks on where the stages is for your individual person. And that'll help you understand their emotional intelligence. So infants and babies, by the age of 2 months, they cry and they do this to get their needs met. Occasionally they self-soothe. They might suck on their hands and their fingers. They start to smile and look directly at you. By 4 months, they will cry in different ways. So they're learning how to communicate a little bit better, and they can show hunger, pain, or being tired. They smile in response to a caregiver's smile. They play with toys by shaking with them. And by understanding the different milestones, we're going to understand where our narcissists get stuck and where this abuse kind of locked them in. So this is a full gamut of everything, but it'll narrow down when you hear all the different stages. So when they are at 6 months old, they're more aware and familiar of which people are close to them and which ones are strangers. So they're starting to troubleshoot who is safe and who is unknown. And they can respond to other people's emotions by crying, smiling, or laughing. So they will respond to other people's emotions. And they enjoy looking at themselves in the mirror. So we're starting to see things unfold. By 9 months, they start to show stranger anxiety, to where they are a little anxious around people that they don't know. They might cry when familiar faces aren't around, and they start to prefer some toys over others. So we got to remember that our narcissist objectifies us, and when familiar faces aren't around, that's a 9-month milestone. So, does this have anything to do with avoidant attachment style, or anxious attachment styles, things like that? By 9 months, they play favorites with familiar people. They are more interactive, so they like handing over an item to somebody. They make a specific noise to get the attention of the people taking care of them. And they, at this time, kind of like interactive games such as patty cake, peekaboo. And then around age 18 months to 2 years old, we got our toddlers and our preschoolers. These 18 months to 2 years, they have more temper tantrums. They become more defiant as they try to communicate, and they like to be more independent. They start simple pretend play, like imitating what adults or other kids are doing. So that's 18 months to 2 years. A lot of times our narcissists will mimic us. That's how they find their identity. They become interested in having other kids around that are more likely to play parallel play alongside them instead of cooperative play. They just kind of do their own thing next to them. And that's kind of where the narcissist sometimes is, where they just want to do their own thing, but they want people around. And that can be quite lonely. Around age 3 to 4 years, they will verbalize with a larger range of emotion, and they start to show emotion better. They are interested in the pretend play. So at 3 to 4 years old, it's like that fantasy play where they might confuse what's really real, what's really make believe. And they will start playing with other kids, and they start to become more independent, and they will start to separate from their caregivers a little bit. They may still have temper tantrums at this stage because of the change in routine, not necessarily always getting what they want. So our narcissist likes to throw these temper tantrums. That's anywhere from up to 4 years old. So that could be the emotional state. Grade schoolers around the age 5 to 6, they like to play with other kids and they become more conversational, more independent. They test boundaries, but are still eager to please and help out. So is your narcissist testing you? That's a little bit higher developmentally, but you should grow out of that. They begin to understand what it means to feel embarrassed. So the narcissist loves to hide any shame. It's a shame-based personality. And so around age 7 to 8, they are more aware of other people's perceptions. So that's a lot of times where they might hide what's going on. They may complain about friendships and other kids' reactions. So at this stage, they do want to behave well, but aren't as attentive to directions. They try to express their feelings by using words, but at this time, they might still resort to aggression when upset. And like I've told you guys, I am an elementary school teacher. I do see the coping skills of the children, the developmental stages. And just because you're at that age doesn't mean that you've gone through the emotional and social development that you need. At around age 9 to 10 years old, they start telling secrets and love to tell jokes with their friends. And at this age, they start to develop their own identity by withdrawing from conversations, from family activities, and it's developing their sense of self. They are affectionate and they like to be curious, silly oftentimes, but they will often be selfish, rude, and argumentative. So is this the stage your narcissist is stuck in? Or they could have pieces of, you know, a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old, and it kind of balances out because these are different milestones. And just because there's one milestone, you can miss out on some milestones or get stuck in various aspects of these milestones. So around age 11 to 15 years, we have our early high schoolers and middle schoolers. They start to think more logically. Has your narcissist or person that is dealing with mental illness, are they able to think logically? A lot of times they can't. If they're a narcissist, they are at age 11 to 15 moody. They need their privacy. They're introspective, and they do value other people's opinions and their friends' opinions more and more. And at this age, they start to test out new ideas, different clothing styles, whatever mannerisms they feel express themselves. They try to figure out how to fit in. At age 16 to 18, they are striving for independence, and they often will emotionally distance themselves from their caregivers. They're starting to break free. And this is why the narcissist must always discard, because they get stuck where they haven't emotionally detached, because they haven't gotten to that 16 to 18-year-old stage. And they are always going to long for that breakout, that break free. And that's why they have this narcissistic cycle, because as soon as they get to that, it all falls apart. So at 16 to 18, they start to discover their strengths and weaknesses. And at times, they can be self-centered, impulsive, moody, and they'll show pride within their successes. And they love to spend a lot of time with their friends. And at the age, they might start being interested in dating. So sometimes we see our little 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds that are interested in things they shouldn't be at that stage. Maybe they were rushed through, skipped over some things because of either sexual abuse or seeing things that they probably shouldn't have seen at that time. And every child will develop their social emotional skills at different stages. So if you have a child and they haven't reached these milestones at the exact time, that's okay. It is a process. But when we're dealing with a narcissist, they resort to a lot of childlike things, and it's frustrating to them that they can't process everything because they haven't completed all these steps that they need to go through. So when you are dealing with a narcissist, you are dealing with an emotional child, and they have learned techniques to fit in, but their soul, their heart hasn't they don't feel it. So it's very frustrating to fake it. And they don't have a sense of self because they haven't broken free into adulthood emotionally. And it gets really confusing. But if you think about it with children, as long as things are going good that go their way, they're pretty good. You know, they're good. They're playing. You gave them a nice new toy. They play with it. They enjoy it. You give them the food that they wanted for dinner. It's good. As long as their needs are met, you know, children are fairly easy in a sense to take care of. But when things disrupt what they want, you know, they do not like it. They'll throw their temper tantrums. They'll say that they hate you. They might scratch you, pinch you, hit you, kick, break things. They don't think things through logically. They just think about what they need. And in a healthy childhood, you learn coping skills. And due to the damage that's been done to the narcissist in their brain, that they're stuck and they're just using survival techniques. So unless they're willing to change, you know, to keep the peace or to have some of your needs met, but it's like talking to a 2-year-old, you know, like, you know, sweetheart, I need this, or I need a little respect, or whatever you say to them. It's not processed. Like talking to a 2-year-old, like, sweetie, mommy really needs you not to yell. And they're like, and they're just going to yell again or do whatever later. They don't internalize it. They might keep it for a moment, whatever the attention span is, and then it goes. That the narcissist does have gaps in their memory. They try to make things up to fill the void. They try to boost their self-esteem by knocking yours down or telling stories that aren't true. So it gets really confusing and it affects our brain. So our brain is changed. And I talk about the vibes and everything that goes on, that it is damaging our brain, that we live in this altered reality, and that's damaging. You know, you should be able to count on your partner. If they can't always be there, at least, you know, you're not blown off about whatever it is, that they just communicate. The narcissist doesn't communicate, just like a 2-year-old is not going to go, mommy, you know, I'm really depressed today and I just need a hug. And they'll just cry. They don't know how to communicate what they're going through. And, you know, we have to remember it's damaging our brain too. And we get the brain fog, the CPTSD, it's affecting our health. That, you know, longing to go back to that, or hoping that, you know, you'll have a second chance. It's either you take care of them like a child, and the hard part is when you do that, even if you said, okay, I love this person so much that they can act that way, it's never going to be a true relationship. It's just going to be based on lies and confusion, broken promises, future faking, and it's going to drain you. It's going to drain you. And you deserve a partner who is going to support you, because we all, in a sense, are looking for our security that we had as a child. And for us to feel comfortable too, and, you know, we're not going to be appreciated if we do that. That's going to be taken advantage of more. That we have needs too. We have to realize we have needs too. So I hope this video was helpful, because there are developmental delays and they're not learning it. Some of you are with, you know, 60, 70-year-old people who have not found how to deal with other people. They just during times of stress, they just go back to these stages, temper tantrums, things like that, hitting, biting, yelling, throwing. Sometimes they control physically and emotionally at times, but it's also subtle sometimes too, little manipulation tactics. And don't gaslight yourself into believing that that's true love. That's dependency. The narcissist depends on us for their supply. And just remember, you deserve to be loved the right way. The give and take is what keeps it going. But the take is not what adult life is like. They take advantage of it more and more. So please like and subscribe, share this with anybody it might help. And I do have live chat where you can ask live questions. Oh, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.